Advice wanted. I feel like I should leave. Sorry for this. I posted this a couple days ago but didn't get any response, so I'm hoping I get some advice this time. I'm not sure where to start. This is a long one, so apologies ahead of it. My wife is my best friend. We get on very well as people, but it feels like we're just not a compatible pair anymore. I feel like a stranger in my own home and have done for years. I work from home and have done for the last 5 years. My wife also works from home as a childminder. The downstairs of our house is almost entirely dedicated to my wife's work. Whilst I appreciate there's some necessity for it to be child-proofed and to have toys and a space for the kids she minds, I have gradually seen and felt her work take over the entire downstairs. Toys everywhere, a cramped living space because she prioritizes her workspace. This has been getting worse over the last couple of years. Even when there are no minding children here, she has made it difficult to be in the room, for example, buying furniture on which we can't sit next to one another, and setting the room in such a way that is uncomfortable for anyone other than her, for example. Putting my chair in a corner with a partially blocked view of the TV. Then there's the rest of the home. I work as a graphic designer from a desk in our bedroom. I'm a creative sort and crave some stimulus around me like artwork and inspiration. When we moved into this house a few months ago, we had one spare room which would become the baby's when the time came. I was so excited to finally have a space that I could be in which felt mine, at least for a while. I was in this room for 10 weeks, before being essentially kicked out of it around 2 months ago because we needed to get it ready for the baby. The baby won't actually be staying in this room for something like the first 6 months, so not until perhaps the new year. So, I was moved back into our bedroom as a workspace. I've proposed getting posters or things I find cool, and they've always been shot down because they have to look right. I understand the sentiment, but it's happened so much and so often that I feel completely ignored. This has been going on for years. I finally had a really serious conversation about it a few weeks ago. I'm due to start a new job soon, so wanted to make my workspace more me. She went along with it, so I proposed some of my favorite posters to be framed, and was told they had to be smaller. I bought 3A4 prints, and I also bought a skateboard deck with my favorite graphic of all time. When I showed her these, she literally said nothing. Like, silence. I know that might sound small, but it was a watershed moment for me. I am so upset by this. I finally did something to make my workspace right, and she couldn't even be happy for me. Really importantly, I feel completely abandoned as a father. My wife is 8 months pregnant, and we have 2 others at 7 and 8. She never joins me in physically playing with our kids. I always feel at arm's length, and she makes all of the major and even minor decisions on her own. She hasn't actually wrested control from me in any way, but she certainly doesn't involve me in anything. She had her father come in and decorate the baby's new room, even after I said several times that I really wanted to do it. She got her dad in without telling me beforehand, and had him decorated in a color and way that I really hate. It's dark, dull, and not at all what I want in my own home. It's not a space I'm not comfortable in and don't want my baby in. Lastly, she provides no affection to me. She doesn't treat me like a husband. I'm affectionate with her, certainly, less than I'd like to be, but I seldom get anything in return. I'm a big touchy-feely person, and whilst my wife has never been the most affectionate person, but she definitely makes no effort these days. No welcome home, no touching or hugging just because. No text just saying I miss you. No engagement, really. No real affection at all. She gets all of these. I get a goodnight peck at best. I have brought all of this up countless times. That our living space doesn't feel comfortable to me, and that I need to feel comfortable in my own home. That my workspace needs to feel like my own, especially as she has a whole floor of a house dedicated to hers. That I feel completely ignored in this relationship, marriage, parental unit, and household. TLDR, I just feel like we're not a couple anymore. That we're much more like housemates and co-parents. There's no real love in the relationship, and I feel myself getting distant. I'd rather just deal with this before it becomes bitter. I won't be making any changes to our situation for at least the rest of the year because she, the kids, and the new baby need my support and presence, and I'm more than willing to do my part. I want to be a good father and there for my kids, and I'd rather it be a good friendship than a soured one. Now to the next story, Story 2. Marriage problems. This might be pretty long, lol. Me and my husband have been married for 5 years. We've been together for 6 years. Now we have 2 kids together, toddler and 5-month-old baby girl. We starting arguing more often since having kids, and especially after having our new baby. We argue a lot about dumb things. I will admit I'm not a great wife. We've had some heated arguments to the point where I will tell him that I hate him and that I want a divorce. Now I know that I really am a piece of shit for saying those things that I don't mean at all. I love my husband so much and I just don't think when words come out of my mouth sometimes. I know that I have really hurt him saying those things. As of late I've noticed that he's been kind of distant and he's been going out all night. He'd come home around 5 to 7 in the morning. He's been smoking weed every day and sometimes drinking. He's made a new female friend too. They've been friends since high school. He told me they were on and off in high school, but both figured it'd be better if they were both friends. A few weeks ago he reached out to her because she has a kid that would be the perfect age to be friends with our son. Where we live there aren't a lot of kids, and we really wanted our son to be able to have another friend here. It was perfect too because she lives just 10 minutes away. We've all hung out together at the lake with our kids several times now. She seems really nice and I think she is seeing someone else too. However, this past week my husband has been staying out all night. We'd have a good day with no arguments, and he left for the night without texting me anything. This one night I was really worried about him and kind of blew up his phone. When he came home I was so mad at him, and we had another argument. Then I think that was his final straw. He told me he was burnt out. He told me he was unhappy. I can't blame him. Then the next night he went out again without saying goodbye. The next day he told me not to get mad, but that he hung out with his female friend and told her about all our marriage problems. He said he had to talk to someone other than his parents about our marriage, or he felt like he was going to leave or do something to hurt me. He told her everything. She somehow talked him into fixing our marriage. The problems within our marriage when he explained it to me the other day was that we argue all the time and that he feels like I'm his roommate. We don't really have sex that often because I just never felt the need to. He said we don't sleep in the same beds, which I thought we were both cool on sleeping on separate beds because he snores and I like my space. He said he has been spiraling down for the past 2 years and that I never checked up on him or asked him if he was okay, which I don't even remember, but I do check up on him. He said I don't show enough affection anymore, like hugging and kissing, but I'm the first place he has never seemed to like that stuff, as he told me we didn't have to be up each other's ass all the time because we are married. So I was kind of confused on what he wants. He said he feels like we are incompatible and maybe it's better for us to separate so our kids don't have to grow up with arguing parents. I started crying and told him that I would stop arguing, but he doesn't believe me and that I want to work on the intimacy and that I really care for him. Nothing I really do or say I feel will change things because he still seems burnt out. And I don't know how to feel about his new female friends either. They've been hanging out with our kids as of late, which I'm fine with. However, him hanging out with her in the middle of the night, telling about all our problems has me feeling kind of off. I feel as if he is now closer to her than to me maybe. I told him about this and he said he doesn't care, he just had to talk to someone else about us, or he was going to break. I know he would never cheat on me, but I just don't know how to feel about this. I feel like he's going to hang out with her again at night, and I don't like it. I know I just trust him and blah blah, but I just think it's weird for a married man to be hanging out with a female friend at night and vents out his problems when I just met her. I've even cried to him about how I feel about him going out at night and that I just want to sleep in bed together and hug each other. He just stares at me when I cry and doesn't even try to comfort me. I hate arguing with him, and we've stopped since, but I feel like something still isn't right. I feel like he is still unhappy. I've been more loving towards him too. But now I think he thinks I'm being annoying now. He told me the other night that he just feels so burnt out and didn't really care at the moment. I told him then, why did you make such a big deal about the lack of intimacy? And he said he doesn't know and that it doesn't matter now really. I'm just so confused. I don't know what to think about this situation. I feel like we've both kind of contributed to making our marriage like this. I feel like it's so unhealthy, but I love him so much. He even told me repeatedly that he loves me more than anybody too. Maybe I am a big part of the problem? Maybe I really screwed things up to the point of my husband being miserable and unhappy? What do you guys think of this situation in our marriage and about his new female friend? I just feel betrayed that he had to tell her everything about our problems. He seems to see nothing wrong with it as she is his friend.